The Krellion's blood painted abstract patterns across the arena floor, purple spirals that steamed in the artificial atmosphere. Captain Sarah Rodriguez released her grip on the alien's secondary windpipe, letting the massive body slump to the crystalline ground. The crowd of 10,000 alien spectators had gone silent, their various respiratory organs held in collective shock. "Winner, Earth candidate Rodriguez," the announcer's synthesized voice echoed through the stadium, attempting neutrality but failing to hide its disbelief. Time: 47 seconds. Sarah wiped purple ichor from her cheek, her movements deliberately casual as she surveyed the stands. Her ocular implants, invisible to alien scanning technology, cataloged every face, every recording device, every biometric scanner hidden in the architecture. The Galactic Council wasn't just watching. They were dissecting, analyzing, learning. Good, she thought, allowing herself a predator's smile. Learn all you want. You're only seeing what we want you to see. 72 hours earlier, Earth Embassy Station, Lagrange Point 5. They're calling it an invitation, but make no mistake, it's an ultimatum. Ambassador Chen's fingers danced across the holographic display, pulling up images of the Vorathian Colosseum. Join their combat trials or face complete isolation from galactic trade routes. No quantum gates, no resource exchanges, no diplomatic protection. Sarah stood with her team in the briefing room, each soldier a carefully selected weapon in human form. Surgeon Park, whose meditation techniques could slow his heartbeat to 1 pulse per minute. Corporal Smith, who'd volunteered for the classified Prometheus program and now housed 17 distinct combat personalities. Lieutenant Commander Jackson, whose tactical algorithms had never failed in 3,000 simulations, and Dr. Martinez, whose neural implants contained more processing power than most starships. "What aren't you telling us?" Sarah asked, noting the micro-expressions Chen couldn't quite hide. The ambassador's jaw tightened. No species has survived these trials in 300 years. The last 5 civilizations that tried were absorbed into the Council's servitor races. Their home planets now function as mining colonies. "So we're not being invited to join," Jackson observed, his augmented mind already running probability matrices. "We're being evaluated for conquest." "Precisely." Chen pulled up another display, Earth Defense's most classified files. "Which is why you 5 aren't just representing humanity. You're executing Operation Darwin." Sarah felt her combat implants warm slightly, an autonomic response to anticipated violence. Parameters: show them enough to frighten, not enough to prepare. Make them think they understand human capabilities while hiding our true nature. And above all, Chen's eyes hardened. Survive long enough to transmit the intelligence we need for the real war. Park spoke for the first time, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. "They're already here, aren't they? Scouts. Infiltrators." Chen nodded grimly. 47 confirmed in the last month alone. "They're mapping our defenses, studying our biology, preparing for something bigger." "Then let's give them a show," Smith said, his primary personality grinning while something darker flickered behind his eyes. "I haven't let the others out to play in months." As the briefing continued, Sarah's implants detected something the others missed. A quantum signature in the room's corner, barely visible against the background radiation. An alien surveillance drone, microscopic and sophisticated, recording everything. She said nothing, but her smile widened. The game had already begun. Present, Vorathian Colosseum. The arena floor trembled as the next challenger entered, a Zephyrian sprinter, its elongated limbs designed for speeds that broke sonic barriers on most worlds. Park stepped forward, his breathing so controlled he appeared comatose. In the VIP observation deck, High Chancellor Vextor leaned toward his military advisor. "The humans fight without power armor, without visible weapons. What are we missing?" "Unknown, Chancellor. Our scans show baseline human physiology, but their combat effectiveness suggests we're being deceived." Vextor's compound eyes focused on Sarah, who was watching her teammate with an expression of absolute confidence. Continue recording. If these humans hide such capabilities behind mere flesh, we need to know everything. Below, Park hadn't moved. The Zephyrian circled him at increasing speed, creating a vortex of displaced air. The crowd began murmuring. Was the human frozen in fear? Sarah touched her temple, activating the team's quantum encrypted channel. Park, stop playing with your food. We've got 46 more challenges after this. Park's response came as a subvocal whisper only his team could hear, just letting their scanners get a good baseline reading. Martinez, you picking up their surveillance frequency. Every byte, Martinez confirmed. They're especially interested in our neural patterns. Someone's building a combat prediction algorithm. Perfect, Sarah replied. Let them think they can predict us. Smith, you're up after this. Give them something chaotic to analyze. The Zephyrian, frustrated by Park's motionlessness, finally committed to a direct attack. It crossed the 30-meter arena in less than a second, claws extended for a killing strike. Park moved. To the aliens, it looked like teleportation. To the high-speed cameras, it was a demonstration of precognitive reflexes. Park's hand found the Zephyrian's pressure points with surgical precision, and the speedster collapsed, paralyzed but alive. Winner, Earth Candidate Park. Time, 3 minutes, 18 seconds. But Sarah wasn't watching the celebration. Her implants had detected a priority signal from Earth, a quantum burst that bypassed standard channels. The message was only 4 words, but they changed everything. They're accelerating the timeline. She glanced at her team. Each had received the same message, their faces betraying nothing to alien observers. But she saw the subtle shift in their postures, the way their bodies prepared for escalation. Ambassador Chen's words echoed in her memory. Show them enough to frighten, not enough to prepare. Sarah's smile turned predatory. It was time to show the galaxy why humanity had survived every extinction event, every cosmic catastrophe, every attempt at annihilation. The Council wanted to see human combat capabilities. They were about to learn why Earth's children were the universe's most dangerous secret. High above, in observation decks throughout the station, alien military analysts furiously updated their threat assessments. But they were analyzing the wrong data, asking the wrong questions. The real question wasn't how dangerous humans could be. It was how long humanity had been pretending to be weak. Smith stepped into the arena, his fingers twitching in patterns that meant nothing to alien observers, but everything to his fractured psyche. 17 personalities prepared for war, and the primary was about to let them all out at once. The crowd would never forget what happened next. The transformation started in Smith's eyes. What had been brown irises flickered through a spectrum of colors. Amber, crimson, violet, obsidian, each representing a different personality claiming control. The Tusarian warrior facing him, a silicon-based life form with naturally armored skin, hesitated at the sight. Mistake, Smith whispered, but the voice wasn't his primary personality anymore. Something older, hungrier, had taken the wheel. The Tusarian charge, its crystalline fists capable of shattering steel. Smith didn't dodge. Instead, he laughed, a sound that made several alien spectators unconsciously step back from the arena barriers. Probability assessment, High Chancellor Vextor demanded from his observation pod. Calculating. His tactical advisor's tendrils flickered nervously. Human combatant appears to be experiencing psychological break. Victory probability for Tusarian, 94.7%. Below, Smith's body language shifted mid-combat. His stance flowed from military precision to Street Fighter brutality to something almost dance-like. Each personality brought its own combat style, its own moral parameters, its own relationship with violence. Tag out, Smith's primary personality manage, wrestling back control for a microsecond. Not yet, replied the entity his psychologists had labeled the architect, the personality that understood pain as an art form. They're scanning our neural patterns. Let's give them something beautiful." The Tusarian's fist connected with Smith's chest. The sound of breaking ribs echoed through the arena. But Smith was already moving, using the momentum to spin inside the alien's guard. His fingers found gaps in the crystalline armor that shouldn't exist, pressure points that Tusarian biology texts claimed were myths. "Impossible," Vextor breathed. "Tusarian nerve clusters are randomized at birth. No two patterns alike. How could he?" "Because we've already dissected 12 of your species," Smith hissed in perfect Tusarian, a language he shouldn't know. The architect was accessing memories from personalities the primary didn't even know existed. "Your government sold us the bodies. Called it Xenobiological Research Exchange." The Tusarian stumbled backward, its compound eyes dilating in horror. Not at the pain, at the implication. Sarah's voice crackled through the team channel. "Smith, dial it back. We're showing too much." "Can't," came the fractured reply. "They're fighting me. All of them. They smell blood." In the arena's medical station, Dr. Martinez pretended to monitor her teammates' vitals while her neural implants performed deep packet analysis on the facility's data streams. "Interesting," she murmured, careful to keep her discovery subvocal. "Report," Jackson commanded. "The arena's quantum field isn't just for containment. It's a massive neural scanner. They're not just watching us fight. They're mapping our entire consciousness. Every synapse. Every." Martins paused, her augmented mind processing implications at superhuman speed. "They're building virtual copies, digital clones of human fighters." "For what purpose?" Park inquired, his meditation allowing him to maintain the conversation while appearing catatonic. "War games. They want to run millions of simulations, find every possible way to kill us before the real invasion." Smith's body convulsed as another personality seized control. This one moved like liquid mercury, dodging attacks that hadn't been thrown yet. The Tusarian found itself fighting an opponent who existed 3 seconds in the future. Temporal anomaly detected. The arena's AI blared warnings. Human combatant exhibiting chronodisplacement symptoms. "That's not possible," Vextor's scientific advisor interjected. "Humans lack the neural architecture for temporal perception. Our scans confirm." "Your scans are shit," Smith snarled, now speaking in the Council's encrypted command language. The cipher personality had emerged, the one that existed primarily as living code. "Want to know a secret, Chancellor? Humans didn't develop quantum computing. We were born with it. Every human brain is a quantum processor running on biological hardware. We just pretend to use machines." The Tusarian warrior made one final desperate attack. Smith's response came from 17 angles simultaneously, each personality controlling a different micro-movement. The alien's armored shell cracked like an egg, revealing the soft tissue beneath. But Smith didn't strike the killing blow. Instead, the architect personality leaned close to the defeated warrior and whispered something that made the universal translator fail. Whatever was said, the Tusarian's traumatized shriek would haunt the arena archives forever. "Winner, Earth candidate Smith. Time: 7 minutes, 42 seconds. As Smith walked back to his team, his personalities began to settle, retreating into their mental compartments. But the damage was done. Every scanner in the arena had recorded the impossible, a human mind that operated on 17 parallel quantum states. Rodriguez caught him as he stumbled, his primary personality finally reasserting control. "How many did you let out?" "All of them," Smith gasped, blood trickling from his nose. "They'd wanted to see human potential. So I showed them 17 different ways our species could evolve. Let their simulations chew on that." In his observation pod, Vextor's chromatic skin had paled to near transparency. "Contact the Fleet Admiral immediately." "Sir." "Cancel Phase 7. Abort all infiltration protocols." The High Chancellor's voice carried a tremor that hadn't been heard in 3 centuries of Council rule. If that's what one broken human mind can do, what happens when their entire species stops pretending? His advisor's tendrils ceased their nervous movement. Pretending, sir. Look at them. Vexter gestured to the human team. Martins was casually hacking their quantum-encrypted communications while appearing to check medical supplies. Jackson's eyes tracked trajectory patterns of objects that hadn't moved yet. Park's meditation had slowed his metabolism to near death while maintaining full consciousness. Rodriguez's muscles tensed and relaxed in patterns that suggested she was running combat simulations against every species in the arena simultaneously. They're not adapting to our tests, Vextor continued. They're revealing capabilities they've always had, piece by piece, layer by layer. The next challenger entered the arena, a Serathi hive mind collective, 9 bodies sharing one consciousness. Jackson stepped forward, cracking his neck in a gesture that looked casual but computed the exact force needed to trigger a specific neural response. Your turn to play, Smith asked, wiping blood from his face. Jackson smiled, an expression that never reached his eyes. Time to show them why human chess masters made the galaxy's best generals look like children playing with blocks. As the Exorethi collective spread into attack formation, Jackson's augmented mind began calculating, not just moves and countermoves, but the psychological profile of every alien watching, the political implications of each strike, the sociological impact of human victory patterns. The Council thought they were testing humanity's combat potential. They were actually providing Earth with live fire data for the coming war. And Jackson had just figured out how to win it without firing a single shot. The arena lights dimmed as the next phase began, but in the shadows, something else stirred. Martinez's scans had detected it, a presence that wasn't alien, wasn't human, but somehow both. The apex predator was already here, hidden in the crowd, learning, waiting, hungry. The real test hadn't even started yet. The 9 Exorethi bodies moved like water, their shared consciousness creating perfect synchronization. Jackson watched them flow into position, his augmented mind already modeling their quantum entanglement patterns. Fascinating, he murmured. 9 nodes, but the processing happens in 11-dimensional space. They're not just sharing thoughts. They're existing as one entity across multiple realities. Jackson, Rodriguez's voice cut through the comms. Stop admiring them and fight. Combat is just mathematics with blood, Jackson replied, stepping forward. And I'm about to show them an equation they can't solve. The first 3 Exorethi struck simultaneously from different angles. Jackson didn't dodge. He moved to the exact coordinate where their attacks would cancel each other out. His body passed through the intersection point as alien fists collided where his head had been. In the VIP section, the Exorethi Prime Collective's central node writhed in disbelief. Impossible. He predicted our quantum decision branches before we collapsed the wave function. No, whispered Dr. Theta, the Council's chief xenobiologist. He didn't predict them. He forced them. He's manipulating our probability fields through observation. Jackson smiled at the remaining 6 bodies. Your turn. Or would you prefer to surrender now and save us both the computational effort? The Exorethi attacked again, this time with randomized patterns designed to prevent prediction. Jackson's response shattered their understanding of causality. He defended against attacks that existed only as quantum possibilities, his body moving through positions that shouldn't be reachable in 3-dimensional space. Warning, Martinez's voice crackled through Neuralink. I'm detecting massive quantum fluctuations. Jackson's burning through his implant buffers. Let him, Rodriguez commanded. We need the data on their hive architecture. What happened next would be classified beyond top secret in Earth's military archives. Jackson's consciousness expanded beyond his individual neural network, reaching out through quantum entanglement to touch the edges of the Exorethi collective. For one horrifying moment, the aliens felt a human mind attempting to join their hive. The psychic backlash knocked 17 spectators unconscious. He's trying to assimilate us, The Exarathi Prime gasped. How? Humans are individual consciousnesses. They can't. Wrong assumption, Jackson said, his voice harmonizing with itself across multiple probability streams. Human consciousness is already collective. We just partition ourselves for convenience. Watch. He reached out to his team through their neural link. Sarah's tactical genius, Park's deep meditation, Smith's fractured personalities, Martinez's digital consciousness, all bled into his awareness. The Exarathi faced not one human mind, but a composite entity drawing from 5 quantum-entangled brains. The arena's containment field screamed warnings as reality began to fray. The Exarathi collective, evolved over millions of years to be the galaxy's premier hive mind, found itself being absorbed into something far more ancient and terrible. Abort. The High Chancellor's voice cut through every speaker. Make cheech terminate. Containment vorechich imminent. Jackson collapsed the quantum field with visible effort, releasing the Exarathi from his mental grip. The 9 bodies crumpled to the arena floor, their shared consciousness retreating so far into itself that medics would later describe it as voluntary catatonia. Winner, Earth candidate Jackson. Time, 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Method, psychological warfare, category undefined. As Jackson staggered back to his team, blood streaming from his eyes and ears, he managed a weak laugh. Their mistake was thinking human individuality is our natural state. We chose isolation. We can unchoose it. Jackson, Martins knelt beside him, her medical scanners working overtime. Your neural tissue is showing quantum scaring. You actually tried to bring them into the human oversoul, he finished. The thing we've been fragmenting ourselves from since the cognitive revolution. They wanted to see what happens when humans fight as one. I gave them a glimpse. High above, emergency sessions convened across the council chambers. The implications were staggering. If humans could naturally form hive minds, if their individual consciousness was artificial limitation rather than biological reality. Sir, Vextor's aide trembled. The fleet admiral is demanding immediate authorization for planetary bombardment. Denied. The High Chancellor's skin rippled through stress patterns. We've already seen what happens when humanity feels threatened. Do you want to discover what they become when they're angry? In the arena's medical bay, the human team huddled around Jackson as Martinez worked to stabilize his quantum burns. None of them noticed the janitor nearby, a Ythari service worker whose eyes held too much intelligence, whose movements were too precisely human. The apex predator adjusted its borrowed form, filing away every detail. The humans were magnificent. Perfect. Everything it had been designed to hunt. But something else stirred in its engineered consciousness, a recognition that went beyond programming. These weren't prey. They were kin. Rodriguez sensed it first, her combat instincts screaming warnings. She turned toward the janitor, but the Ythari had already vanished into the service tunnels. We have a problem, she subvocalized to the team. Bigger than showing the galaxy we can form spontaneous hive minds. Smith asked, his personality still settling from the psychic overflow. Someone's been watching us. Someone who moves like us, thinks like us. Rodriguez's hand instinctively moved to where her weapon should be. Something that knows humans from the inside. The next challenge was announced. Environmental hazard protocol. But Rodriguez wasn't listening. Her enhanced senses tracked phantom movements in the crowd, patterns that matched human infiltration techniques. The council thought they were testing humanity, but something else was using the trials for its own purpose, something that had been human once, something that remembered. Next match in 5 minutes, the announcer declared. Earth candidate Park versus the Scorched Lands simulation. Park stood, his meditation already adapting to the challenge. But Martinez grabbed his arm, her scanners detecting what the others couldn't: radiation signatures, pheromone markers, genetic echoes of Earth. We're not alone here, she whispered. Park nodded slowly. I know. I've felt it since we arrived. A presence that meditates like a human but dreams like something else. The apex predator smiled from 3 different faces in the crowd, its consciousness distributed across borrowed bodies. Soon. Very soon. But first, it wanted to see them pushed to their limits. It wanted to see them become what it had become. Evolution through combat. Transcendence through suffering. The next phase was about to begin. The scorched land simulation materialized around Park, a hellscape of volcanic activity, toxic atmosphere, and gravity that shifted randomly between 0.3 and 4.7 Earth standard. Most species died within seconds. Park sat down and began to meditate. Is he giving up? Admiral Krex leaned forward in the command observation deck, mandibles clicking in confusion. No. Vextor's voice carried newfound respect. He's adapting. Watch his biosigns. Park's heartbeat slowed to 12 beats per minute. His lungs extracted oxygen from air that would poison most creatures. When the gravity surged to crushing levels, his bones literally restructured themselves, becoming denser through controlled calcium redistribution. Neat trick, Smith commented through the neural link. When did you learn that? Tibet, 2157, Park replied, his mental voice serene despite his body's extreme adaptations. The monks taught me that evolution doesn't take millennia. It takes intention. The simulation threw everything at him. Pyroclastic flows, neurotoxic storms, predators cobbled together from nightmares. Park walked through it all, his body shifting at the cellular level to meet each challenge. When the temperature spiked to 800 degrees Celsius, his skin developed reflective scales. When radiation flooded the area, his DNA repaired itself in real time. But Jackson noticed something else. The simulation parameters. They're not random. These are real planetary conditions. Martinez's digital consciousness was already analyzing. Confirmed. Cross-referencing with astronomical databases. Oh God. These are Earth-like worlds, planets marked for human colonization. They're not testing if we can survive their trials, Rodriguez realized. They're checking if we can survive our own expansion. The revelation hit like a physical blow. The Council wasn't preparing to invade Earth. They were preparing for humanity to invade them. In his bunker, Defense Coordinator Yalf pulled up classified projections. At current human industrial growth rates, they'll need new worlds within 50 solar cycles. Their biological adaptability means they can colonize planets we've deemed uninhabitable. Worse, his assistant added, their military doctrine includes something called total biosphere conversion. They don't just colonize worlds, they transform them, make them Earth. Park emerged from the simulation unscathed, having spent an hour in conditions that would liquefy most known life forms. His biosigns showed he'd gained 3 kilograms of muscle mass and developed 2 new organ systems during the trial. Winner, Earth Candidate Park. Environmental Adaptation Index, unmeasurable. But the real victory came from Martinez's hack into the simulation's database. Team, I got something. The war game scenarios. They're based on actual Council battle plans, including, her digital voice glitched with excitement, Operation Containment. They've been planning to quarantine Earth for centuries. Show me, Rodriguez commanded. The data flooded their shared consciousness. Star maps, fleet positions, biological weapons designed specifically for human physiology. The invasion Earth had been preparing for was actually a preemptive strike to prevent human expansion. Jackson's tactical mind processed the implications instantly. We need to transmit this to Earth Command. Now. But as Martinez prepared the quantum burst, every screen in the arena flickered. A new message appeared, untraceable and impossible. Greetings, Sidelanges. The truth RUNS DEPR. Meet Nime and TAE maintenance to anneals. Come alone. A. Rodriguez felt ice in her veins. A for Apex. Trap. Smith's personalities debated among themselves. Opportunity, Jackson countered. If the apex predator wanted us dead, we'd never see it coming. Park, still radiating heat from his environmental trial, made the decision. I'll go. My senses are heightened from the adaptation. I'll detect any ambush. Negative, Rodriguez overruled. We go together or not at all. The arena announced the next trial. Tactical simulation, full warfare scenario. But the humans weren't listening anymore. They'd discovered the real game, and it was bigger than anyone imagined. In the council chambers, emergency votes were being called. Some members demanded immediate strike authorization. Others counseled patience, fearing what desperation might unlock in the human genome. You don't understand. Professor Tkix, the galaxy's leading xenoevolutionist, pleaded with the assembly. Human DNA isn't natural. It's engineered, programmed. Every crisis activates new sequences. Every threat unlocks dormant code. Push them too hard, and we might trigger something that was meant to stay buried. Meant by whom? Vextor demanded. Tix's feathers dulled with fear. That's what terrifies me. Someone designed humans to be the ultimate adaptive weapon. But against what? What enemy required a species that could rewrite its own evolution in real time? The maintenance tunnel beckoned. 5 humans approach, each one carrying enough combat potential to devastate a small army. But what waited in the darkness wasn't interested in fighting. It wanted to talk. It wanted to warn. It wanted to remember what it meant to be human. The apex predator stepped from the shadows, its form shifting, revealing features that were heartbreakingly familiar. Rodriguez gasped, recognizing the face from historical archives. "Hello, sister," Marcus Rodriguez said, wearing a body that had died 300 years ago. "We need to discuss what's really coming, and why humanity was created to stop it." The trial's observers watched the humans disappear into the tunnels, their sensors unable to penetrate the strange interference that followed them. Whatever happened next would happen in darkness, beyond the council's sight. But one thing was becoming clear. The trials were no longer about testing humanity. They were about waking something up. Something that should have stayed asleep. The maintenance tunnel reeked of ozone and old secrets. Marcus Rodriguez, or the thing wearing his face, gestured to corroded panels covered in symbols that hurt to perceive. "The builders left these warnings," he said, his voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't exist in human vocal cords, about what happens when the fear virus meets human neurology. "You're supposed to be dead," Sarah Rodriguez stated, her combat implants analyzing everything. "Killed in the Europa campaign." 2462. Death is a human concept, Marcus smiled sadly. The Apex Protocol transcends such limitations, as you're about to discover. Alarms shrieked throughout the station. The next trial had begun, whether the humans were ready or not. The arena's systems injected the fear virus directly into atmospheric circulation, nanomachines designed to trigger every species' primal terrors simultaneously. Masks won't help, Martines warned, her digital consciousness already detecting the virus infiltrating their bloodstream. It's quantum-locked, phases through matter. The first wave hit like a tsunami of nightmares. Park collapsed, experiencing the death of Earth's sun in accelerated time, watching humanity's cradle burn while feeling every death as personal loss. Smith's personality shattered like glass, each fragment experiencing different apocalypses simultaneously. Jackson's tactical mind turned against him, calculating the probability of failure in infinite, crushing detail. But Rodriguez remained standing, even as the virus showed her daughter's death, not on Mars, but in thousands of variations across parallel universes, each death more horrific than the last. "Interesting," Marcus observed. "You're metabolizing grief into combat efficiency. The builders would be proud." "The builders," Rodriguez growled through gritted teeth. "The ones who made us, who coded human DNA with responses to threats that didn't exist yet." Marcus touched the wall symbols. They knew something was coming, something that feeds on fear across dimensions, So they built a species that could weaponize terror itself. In the arena, alien spectators fled in panic as the fear virus triggered mass hysteria. But the humans were changing. Park's meditation deepened until he existed in the space between heartbeats, where fear couldn't reach. Smith's personalities merged into something new, a composite being that experienced all fears simultaneously and found them amusing. The virus, Martinez gasped, her consciousness fragmenting across digital and biological states. It's not just triggering fear, it's activating dormant sequences. Jackson's eyes snapped open, now seeing probability streams as physical entities. The Council didn't create this virus. They found it, and they'd been using it to test species for compatibility. Marcus finished. To see who carries builder code. Humans aren't the only engineered species. We're just the most successful prototype. The arena cameras captured the impossible. Where other species ran screaming from hallucinations, the humans began to glow. Their bodies radiated energy that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. Fear transformed into something else, a weapon that cut through dimensional boundaries. Warning! The station eye screamed. Human subjects exhibiting trans-dimensional phase variants. Containment failing. Rodriguez felt it first, the awakening of circuits in her DNA that had slept since humanity's creation. The fear virus wasn't a weapon. It was an activation key. We were designed to fight something, she realized. Something that exists primarily as fear, across dimensions, feeding on terror. The Devourers, Marcus confirmed. They consumed the Builder's empire, would have taken this universe too, except the Builders seeded warrior species across the cosmos. Jackson completed, his mind now processing information from parallel timelines. Humanity was their greatest success, a species that grows stronger from fear instead of weaker. The virus reached critical propagation. Throughout the station, susceptible species experienced catatonic terror. But in the arena, 5 humans stood in a circle, their bodies becoming conduits for energies that predated the universe. Park spoke in a voice layered with temporal echoes. I can see them. The Devourers. They're already here. Have been for millennia. Feeding slowly, keeping civilizations afraid. Smith's unified consciousness laughed, a sound that shattered nearby view screens. The Council serves them. Perhaps unknowingly, every species kept in fear of others, never uniting, never reaching their potential. Martinez's digital form materialized in the air above them, composed of pure information. The trials, the containment protocols, it's all designed to prevent species from achieving what we're becoming. Which is, Rodriguez demanded. Marcus's form began to shift, revealing the truth of the Apex Protocol. Not a predator at all, a guardian. Humanity's evolved state, watching, waiting for this moment. Divine weapons, he said simply. The Builders answer to entities that exist as living fear. But we needed the virus to complete our evolution. To remember our purpose. The fear hallucinations intensified. Rodriguez saw her daughter again. But this time, she reached through dimensions and pulled her back. What the virus showed as humanity's greatest fears became doorways to impossible victories. High Chancellor Vextor watched his monitors in growing terror, not at the humans, at what their transformation revealed. Shadows moved in the space between stars, hungry geometries that had always been there, feeding on the galaxy's terror, maintaining the balance of fear that kept species divided. They know, he whispered. The humans can see them now, can fight them. Izaid trembled. Should we help them? Help. Vextor laughed bitterly. We've been serving the Devourers for millennia without knowing it. Every council decision, every restricted technology, every enforced separation between species, all to keep us afraid, keep us weak, keep us food. In the arena, the humans completed their transformation. The fear virus had done its work, activating every dormant sequence, unlocking every builder weapon coded into human DNA. The real trial begins now. Marcus announced, his form dispersing into light. Not for you to prove worthy to the Council, but for the galaxy to prove worthy of salvation. Rodriguez looked at her team, no longer just human, but something transcendent. Something designed to battle living nightmares across dimensional boundaries. Earth needs to know, she said. Earth already knows, Park replied, his consciousness touching every human mind across space. The virus is spreading. Every human colony, every ship, every outpost. We're all waking up. Good, Smith grinned, his merged personality radiating controlled chaos. Because I can see them now. The Devourers. And they just realized their food learned how to bite back. The station shuddered as reality itself protested. Somewhere between dimensions, ancient predators stirred. The war humanity was built for had finally begun. Reality tore like wet tissue paper. The Devourers manifested partially, not as physical entities, but as geometries of dread that warped space around them. The arena's structural integrity failed as fundamental forces forgot how to operate. Gravity inverted. Time pooled in corners like spilled honey. Fuel evacuation. The station eye screamed, its voice fragmenting across quantum states. Reality BRAC in progress. But the spectators couldn't move. The Devourer's presence paralyzed every species that hadn't been engineered with builder code. Every species except humans. Now we understand the trial's real purpose, Jackson said, his consciousness processing information from multiple timelines simultaneously. The Council didn't know what they were testing for. They were following instincts implanted by the Devourers, looking for the one species that could resist. Divide and conquer, Martinez agreed, her digital form analyzing the station's code. The Devourers kept all species separate, competitive, fearful of each other, so no united defense could form. Rodriguez stepped forward, her body no longer fully material. The builder sequences in her DNA had activated completely, transforming her into a weapon that could touch dimensional boundaries. We need to evacuate the station, she ordered. The civilian species can't fight this. Smith's unified consciousness smiled, a terrible, beautiful expression. I've been waiting millennia for this. Every human has. We just didn't know it. In the council chambers, emergency protocols failed as reality itself rebelled. But High Chancellor Vextor remained calm, watching the humans on surviving monitor feeds. The legends were true, he whispered to his aide. The Ancients' final gambit. A species designed to appear harmless until the moment of awakening. You knew, his aide gasped. Not consciously, but yes, deep in our racial memory. Vextor's compound eyes reflected the dimensional fractures spreading through the station. The Devourers allow each council generation just enough knowledge to identify builder weapons and test them, but not enough to recognize what we're truly doing. In the arena, Park had achieved impossible stillness. His consciousness extended into a perfect sphere of awareness that pushed back against the Devourer's reality distortion. I can hold them, he said, each word emerging simultaneously across multiple points in space-time, but not for long. Rodriguez nodded, formulating a battle plan that operated in 11 dimensions. Martinez, get the civilians to evacuation pods. Jackson, map their dimensional weak points. Smith. She paused, seeing the anticipation in his merged personality. Do what you were born to do. Smith laughed and launched himself directly at the nearest reality tear. His body transformed into something between matter and energy, his 17 personalities becoming attack vectors that targeted the Devourer's conceptual structure. The battle transcended human perception. Where a Devourer attempted to feed on fear, Smith's fragmented consciousness attacked from 17 different emotional frequencies simultaneously. Where they bent space, he countered with builder algorithms encoded in his cellular structure. The station can't survive this, Martinez warned, her digital form shepherding terrified aliens toward escape vessels. The dimensional stress is exceeding containment parameters. Jackson had positioned himself at the arena's center, becoming a living calculation. I've mapped their entry points. They're using fear as anchor coordinates. The more terror they generate, the stronger their manifestation becomes. Then we do what humans have always done, Rodriguez replied, her voice carrying harmonic overtones that shattered nearby equipment. We turn fear into anger. Her consciousness reached out to every human on the station. Maintenance workers, diplomatic staff, even prisoners in holding cells. The builder code activated in each of them simultaneously, creating a lattice of human awareness that began pushing back against the dimensional intrusion. Vextor watched in awe as humans throughout the station transformed, not into monsters, but into what the builders had designed them to be. Nexus points where reality could be reinforced against entities that fed on its dissolution. The crisis protocol, he realized. It's not about making humans more lethal. It's about completing their metamorphosis into builder proxies. The Devourers sensed the threat. Their assault intensified, targeting the awakening humans specifically. Maintenance technician Ortiz died as reality collapsed around him, but not before his activated DNA managed to seal a dimensional breach. Ambassador Chen's assistant Williams became a living firewall, her consciousness burning out, but taking 3 Devourer fragments with her. In the arena, Smith engaged the largest manifestation directly. His fractured consciousness matched the Devourer's complexity, each personality countering a different aspect of the entity's attack. But even 17 minds couldn't process the full spectrum of its assault. It's too complex, he gasped, blood streaming from every orifice. They operate on too many levels simultaneously. Then we do this together, Rodriguez replied. She reached out to her team, their consciousnesses merging not as individuals but as aspects of a greater entity, the thing Marcus had called humanity's true form. Park contributed absolute stability. Jackson added tactical omniscience. Martins brought digital transcendence. Smith provided chaotic resonance. And Rodriguez became the binding force, the human will to protect, to survive, to overcome. Together, they formed something new, something terrible and beautiful, something the Devourers recognized. You, the entity communicated, not in words but in conceptual terror. Builder weapon. HFY and AL configuration. Yes, the merged human consciousness replied. We remember now. We know what we were made to do. Their combined awareness reached across dimensions, touching the Devourer's true form, a concept that fed on fear across multiple realities simultaneously. With builder algorithms running through their awakened DNA, the humans became living counterarguments to the entity's existence. And for the first time in countless millennia, a Devourer knew fear. The station's emergency systems blared as reality began to restabilize. The human lattice across the station had managed to push the dimensional intrusion back, though at terrible cost. Dozens of awakened humans had burned out completely, their consciousness scattered across realities. But they had won. For now. As the team's merged consciousness separated back into individuals, Rodriguez caught a glimpse of what they had briefly become, the final form of humanity, the species-wide transformation that would one day be the Devourer's end. We need to warn Earth, she said, blood trickling from her ears. This was only the first attack. They know we're awake now. They'll target every human population center simultaneously. Too late, Jackson replied. His perception still extended across probability streams. It's already happening. Mars Colony, Europa Station, the Belt Outposts. Every human settlement is experiencing dimensional incursions. Smith's personalities had settled into new configurations, forever changed by the merger. This is what we were waiting for. What every human was designed to become. The final war. Park opened his eyes, which now perceived across multiple spectra simultaneously. Not just humans. All builder-coded species. We were never meant to fight alone. In the council chambers, Vextor made a decision that would change galactic history. Open emergency communications to all council species. Priority Alpha. His aide trembled. What's the message, sir? Vexter's skin displayed patterns that hadn't been seen since the earliest days of his species. The buried builder instructions finally understood. Tell them the ancient enemy has returned. Tell them the human protocol has activated. And tell them to remember what they truly are. Across the galaxy, buried memories stirred in a dozen species. Not just humans, but Archelians, Virics, even sections of the Zephyrian genome. All carrying fragments of builder code, all designed to combine against the Devourers. The trial had never been about humans proving themselves worthy of the galactic community. It had been about waking the galaxy to its true purpose. As the station limped toward stability, Rodriguez looked at her transformed team. No longer just soldiers, but the front line in a war that predated stars. So Smith grinned, his merged personality radiating controlled chaos. "What's the plan, Captain?" Rodriguez's eyes reflected dimensional depths that hadn't existed an hour before. "We finish what the builders started," she said. "We teach the galaxy how to fight back."